Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Back in May 2026, the Chief Justice of India referred to unemployed youth and social media activists as, quote, cockroaches and parasites. Honestly, he probably had absolutely no idea that this single, off-the-cuff remark was going to accidentally spark a massive nationwide youth revolution.
So, welcome to this explainer, where we're breaking down India's Gen Z protests. This is a huge youth-led uprising that has completely captured international attention. We're going to look at the latest breaking updates from the ground, and we'll also explore the fascinating 300-year-old monument where this very modern democratic clash is unfolding right now.
Part 1, the Cockroach Movement Begins, the catalyst for Gen Z's revolt. You know, what started out as just a satirical online response by digital strategist Abhijit Dipke, which they dubbed the Cockroach Janta Party, quickly found a very real, very angry offline army. And the fuel for all this? Well, it was two massive examination scandals. First, you had a devastating paper leak that compromised the NEET UG medical exams. And on top of that, there were deep irregularities in the CBSE marking process, literally leaving thousands of students without their results. These systemic failures essentially drove furious students out onto the streets, all united under the CJP banner, demanding the immediate resignation of the Education Minister, Dharmendra Pradhan.
Moving on to Part 2, an 18th century scientific marvel, the battlefield's blueprint.
What's really surreal about this whole situation is the setting of these modern clashes. It's a place called Jantar Mantar. Built way back in 1724 by Maharaja Jai Singh II, the name itself actually comes from the Sanskrit word yantra, which means instrument. Long before it became a backdrop for tear gas and tents, these giant red-washed masonry structures were designed as a cutting-edge geometric astronomical observatory to track celestial bodies and calculate time.
Now, while the Maharaja's larger observatory in Jaipur is a famous UNESCO World Heritage Site, this one in Delhi evolved to have a completely different legacy. It's a bit smaller, sure, but its open spaces right in the middle of the downtown area gave it this completely unexpected modern purpose. It literally morphed from a place where you observe the stars into a unique intersection of history, science, and modern democracy.
Which brings us to Part 3, Delhi's iconic protest street, the evolution of dissent. Now, this transformation absolutely didn't happen overnight. It was actually triggered back in the late 1980s when security concerns pushed massive protests away from the boat club lawns. By the early 1990s, Jantar Mantar Road officially became the designated protest venue for the capital. Since then, it's hosted some of the most historic public movements in modern India. We're talking Anna Hazara's anti-corruption movement in 2011, the Nirbhaya justice protests in 2012, the Tamil Nadu farmers' protests in 2017, the wrestlers' protest in 2023, and now, obviously, the CJP protest against the NEET leaks. Let's get into the latest breaking news in Part 4, the July 20 crackdown. Escalation at Jantar Mantar. Okay, so the initial protests were largely peaceful, right? But tensions escalated incredibly fast when prominent activist Sonam Wangchuk joined the students with an indefinite hunger strike. On July 18th, police forcibly removed Wangchuk from the protest site to a hospital. This was the match in the powder barrel. 2 days later, on July 20th, tens of thousands of Gen Z protesters defied police orders and tried to march toward Parliament. Police deployed tear gas and baton charges to stop them. But then, just a day later, after the High Court ordered Wangchuk shifted to Medanta Hospital, those resilient protesters marched right back and completely reclaimed the site. Looking at the fallout from the July 20th march, we have to look at the facts neutrally, because both sides reported a heavy toll. On one hand, official police claims state that they used baton charges to maintain order and protect Parliament, reporting that 118 police personnel were injured and 15 to 20 government vehicles were damaged. On the other side, CJP and local hospital sources report that between 100 to 150 civilian protesters had to be hospitalized because of the crackdown, with roughly 70 people detained. That leads us right into Part 5, Deadlock and National Impact. A nation holding its breath. Right after those clashes, the CJP announced they would stop their street marches, but they fiercely maintained their sit-in, which has basically plunged Parliament into a total deadlock. As negotiations happen, a huge sticking point has been the CJP's demand for 1 crore rupees, that's 10 million rupees, in financial compensation for the families of the deceased NEET aspirants. To put the state's response into perspective, it was massive. The Home Ministry urgently airlifted 20 full companies of the Central Reserve Police Force all the way from Calcutta just to secure the capital. 20 companies. Along with that heavy deployment, they completely shut down 16 metro stations across central Delhi just to cut off access to the area. But despite the barricades, solidarity demonstrations spread nationwide to cities like Mumbai, Bangalore, and Kolkata. Wangchuk demanded a written assurance of no punitive action against the students. The real breakthrough came by July 24th, when 65 opposition MPs pledged their support to protect the protesters, and Prime Minister Modi announced the creation of fast-track courts to try the paper leak cases. After all that, Wangchuk finally agreed to break his fast. But as these students literally rebuild their tents right among these 18th century scientific instruments, we're left with a huge question. How will this 300-year-old observatory continue to shape the democratic future of India's youth? The political stalemate is still going on, and Gen Z is absolutely refusing to back down. So what does this historic battlefield mean for the future of Indian democracy? You should definitely keep watching as this story develops. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.